Welcome back to another episode of Are You Afraid of Ghosts with me, Rai, where we tell stories on the chilling, the unexplained, and the uninvited. In this story today, we will go with the theme of horrors at home. Any hauntings or supernatural that happens in your very own home or somewhere that you have lived before. In this story, I'll read out to you a story submission by Nita on her encounter at her late mom's house. Let's begin. In this story, I will share with you an experience that was shared by a listener named Nita. Nita recalls on what happened to her and her family when she went back to her late mom's kampong house in Rompin for Raya. And if I'm not wrong, Rompin is in a kampong or a village part in Malaysia. So to give a bit of context, Nita grew up with her parents and two older siblings in this old antique wooden house. With every step you take, you will hear the creak wooden sound. Back in the days, it was really hard to sneak out of the house at night because you can hear the door or the window creaks open even from across the house. The toilet, however, features the olden concrete basin style where you are required to fill up with water and using a pail to shower. That whole toilet itself is still intact until today. The house was supposedly built in the early 1900s by her late grandfather, whom have passed on the house for generations. When her father passed away 10 years ago and her two older siblings moved out after marriage, it was just Nita and her mother living in the house. Eventually, Nita also got married 8 years ago and moved out of the house. Every year, they will come and visit their mom over at this very house until last August when Nita's mom passed away. Ever since then, the house has been vacant. Nita and her siblings did thought of selling the property away, but they remembered their parents' reminder to never sell it off, given that this is the last standing heritage of their family. Since everyone is not staying around Rompin, the house is left vacant and only visited once or twice a year for a quick maintenance check. This year Hari Raya, Nita thought that since she needed to pack and settle off her late mom's belongings, which was still in the house, she decided to stay over for 2 nights with her husband and her 5-year-old daughter after they celebrate Raya with her husband's side at his village in Kluang. So after the first 3 days of Raya is over, they travel to Rompin for a quick stay. Nita recalls her first impression of the house as her husband drives into the porch at around 5 p.m. It was old, rustic, empty, and certainly worn down. It definitely looked like it has been abandoned. As she opens the door of the house, an old musty scent hits her. This house has really changed physically. Nonetheless, this was where Nita grew up, and this was where memories were made. Nita described that there was no electricity when they first arrived, but thankfully, the spare generator worked after her husband meddled with it. She did say, imagine if she arrives at night instead. That's a whole other problem to look at. Everything went quite normally at first. They loaded up their luggages from the car into Nita's old room, which is fully equipped with a large bed for her whole family. The water pipe is working and the appliances are in manageable conditions. It only started becoming strange when her daughter was in the kitchen alone while Nita was unpacking in her room and her husband was busy cleaning off the car. While unpacking in the room, Nita heard laughter and giggles coming from the kitchen. She knew it was her daughter's voice, Rose. Nita thought that perhaps her daughter was playing with her dolls, so she ignored her and continued to pack. But for the next few minutes, she continued to hear Rose giggling and laughing. Nita then wondered, why was Rose so cheery and happy if she was only playing with her dolls? Because usually Rose would be quite quiet. So Nita called for her daughter. Rose, come here for a while, sayang. Yes, Mama, said Rose. What were you doing, sayang? I was playing with my dolls in the kitchen. I see. Okay, because I heard that you were giggling quite loudly, so I was thinking what else you were doing. Oh, because I was playing with Nenek, Mama. Nita froze. She turned her head to Rose, and Rose looked at her with her very cute innocent eyes, like as if there was nothing wrong, like as if she was really playing with her grandma, who has actually passed away. Nenek? At that age, Nita knew that her daughter wouldn't have understood that her grandma is no longer here. But to Rose to mention Nenek brought chills down her spine. Yes, Mama. Nenek is in the kitchen. Nita put down all her belongings. She then walked towards Rose and gave her a firm look. Rose, Nenek is no longer here. She does not live in this house anymore. And then Rose said, No, Mama. Nenek was with me since just now. She also called my name. That instant, Nita called her husband in a panicky tone. Her husband, who was outside, upon hearing all this, was stunned. He stood there outside the room door in silence. B, let's go check the kitchen, said Nita's husband. They all then walked steadily yet slowly to the kitchen. Every movement gives off the wooden creak sound, which adds to the tense feeling both Nita and her husband was feeling. As they reached the kitchen, there was no one. Rose, see? There is no one, said Nita. But just now Nenek was here, said Rose. Nita gave that fearful glance to her husband. Right away, her husband packed his things from the car, went into the house, closed all the windows and doors, and stayed put for the night. That evening, at around 10 p.m., a few hours after dinner, Nita's hubby and Rose were napping in the living room while the TV was on. Nita took this opportunity to continue to clear off her mom's things in the room. While silently unpacking and packing the things, Rose startled her when she suddenly appeared at the doorstep. Mama, I'm thirsty. Oh, why don't you go and wake up Papa, sayang? Mama is busy. Papa don't want to wake up. Okay. Then you give me a few minutes, okay? Rose then walked away, while Nita was trying to tidy up whatever that was left. As Nita walked towards the kitchen, she saw that her husband was still sleeping in the living room, but Rose was no longer there. So, when Nita stepped into the kitchen, Nita saw something that puzzled her until today. It was Rose, seated on the chair of the dining table, while a cup of water is in her hands as she was drinking, like as if someone had carried her up on the chair and gave her that drink. Nita knew that at that age, Rose would never be able to reach for the cup nor the water, as the kitchen top is too tall for her. Rose, how do you get the water? Did Papa took for you? No, Mama. Nene, help me. Nita stood there in silence. The air suddenly turned cold, and she could feel her goosebumps standing. Rose, Nene is not here. She is no longer with us. No, Mama. She was here. But when she heard you coming, she left. She went into the toilet. See? Nita didn't dare to check the toilet. She hurried Rose to finish drinking the water, leave the cup in the sink, and then went straight to wake up her husband. She didn't say her word to her hubby, but Nita's expression showed that she was panicky and scared. The three of them went straight into the bedroom and called it a night. That evening, after putting Rose to bed, Nita, however, couldn't sleep. She tossed herself uneasily left to right, and she had a lot of thoughts going through her mind. Could it really be that Rose saw her grandma? Or maybe it could have been a coincidence. But if so, who gave her the cup of water to drink if there's no one else in this house? If there is really a stranger in the house, Rose would be quick to react and scream for help. But Rose was calm throughout. Just as Nita was about to dismiss her thoughts, then came a familiar aroma. An aroma that she grew up with. Her favorite raya dish, her mother's rendang. Nita described that the aroma was strong, like as if someone was cooking in the kitchen at that wee hours. Nita described that it was very easy for her to spot her mom's rendang, given that her mother's rendang has a very distinctive aroma that is different than any others in the village. But if no one else could cook the same rendang, how did Nita could smell the exact same aroma she once knew? Nita sat up from her bed. Her heart started racing. Am I really smelling this? Or is it just my imagination? Just then, Nita's husband woke up. And then he said, B, why do I smell your late mom's rendang? Nita turned her head towards her husband. She then knew that it was no longer her imagination playing with her. It was real. B, I think we need to recite some prayers for Ma. Can we pray that her soul finds peace? Nita and her husband then recited some prayers together, praying that the soul of her mom, if she was there, to find peace. And after a few minutes later, the aroma vanished, like as if it disappeared into thin air. B, you don't smell it anymore, don't you? No, B. I think she has moved on. The next day, Nita finishes packing all her mom's items in the house, and then she is able to also pack them aside. Just as she puts them neatly, a piece of photograph dropped onto the floor. It was a photo of Nita and her mother taken weeks just before her mom passed away. Nita wasn't sure where it came from because she has packed the items. She didn't see the photograph at first. But at the corner of the photograph, strangely, was a handwritten note saying, "Terima kasih, sayang." Or in English, "Thank you, my dear." Nita held the photograph close to her heart, no longer in fear, but in hope and love, knowing that her mother has moved on peacefully, and the photograph and the note are her mom's final gesture. And that is the end of Nita's story. Speaking of kampong, my family also has a kampong in Malacca, where it is also a wooden house, and it is similar to what Nita has described in terms of her late mom's house. And I could imagine myself being in the situation where you are not sure whether there is an entity living together with you, but the whole entire scenery of the house really elevates the whole entire vibe. So for Nita to briefly be able to come to a decision to pray for her mom, and hopefully her mom's soul rests in peace, is something very beautiful to do. And I must say that perhaps it was really her mom's soul that came back, or maybe hasn't moved on. Really looking forward to Nita coming back to that house. And to those of you who enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, read it, and share it with your friends so that we can continue to share the fear of ghosts to others too.